Hey guys, Akariss here. Usually the beginning of these videos tend to be like a meme or a joke or something like that, but I'm going to preface this one with just a take on the Legendary banner and some important news if you follow the channel, Discord, and Twitch, of course. So first things first, I am most likely, almost 99% sure, committing to this banner. And I usually don't advertise summons. You guys probably know how I feel about gacha, but I'm actually going to be doing it on my birthday. So there's a little bit of an extra fun element to it, I guess. My birthday is September 5th on Saturday. Check out the Twitch to see when I usually stream. I will be there, and that stream will be dedicated to basically 1,000+ F2P orbs on this banner. The reason for it is all pretty much covered in Twitch streams and such, but essentially I need to win Legendary Hero, and Corrin meets that criteria, and Mila and Brammy are pretty solid too. So that is my take on this, what I need out of it. But what I also want to say is, for you guys, colorless is solid here. Blue is not bad either, although Nils may be a bit lacking, but he's still IP fodder at the end of the day. And even Pulse Tie has some uses. So generally speaking, colorless and blue, very good on this banner. Red is only good if you need Erica for whatever reason, and green is pretty much falling flat. So that's pretty much my take on it. Watch the rest of this video to see what I think of Corrin. Alright guys, Akariss here, bringing you another Legendary Hero, Mythic Hero analysis, whatever way you want to take it. No, I am not baiting. If you saw the title of the video or the thumbnail or whatever, there are a lot of things to discuss about Legendary Corrin. I think this was expected, but not in the wind element. I did not see it coming in wind. I totally thought it'd be water, because water dragon at the end of the day. So we're going to talk about the things we always talk about in these analysis videos, stats, the skills. I'm going to give my impression on the art, how I came to those stats. Of course, we'll cover some sample builds, partners, and just overall my take on it and where all these wind legendaries now rank. Believe it or not, wind has been like pretty much the most neglected season for like a long time. It used to be earth and fire before, now it's wind, and I don't know, like I think this could change things around quite a bit, okay? So for those of you that don't know, Corrin is based off of like the Norian outfit, and that makes sense considering this is like female Corrin was supposed to be like Norian and male Corrin supposed to be Birthright. Like that's kind of like the subtle canon for it. But beyond that, like it's cool, good art, same artist who did the Fallen Corrin one, and I kind of prefer this. Like crazy Fallen stuff doesn't totally appeal to me. This is much classier, I guess. Colorless Dragon Infantry, solid. If you're going to use a dragon, this is where you want it to be, because they want their equal matchups across the board and not get completely smashed by dragon effectiveness. But dragon effectiveness, that's a hot take. Usually I trash on dragons because of that weakness. We'll see what comes up right now. So first thing I want to talk about is just something we're going to mention in a little bit, which is this particular screenshot, which showcases Corrin killing this green mage. This green mage has been found to be in book 3 chapter 13-2, I believe, and its stats kind of give us a good contrast as to what Legendary Corrin's stats are going to be. So I'm going to give a little bit of a speculation based on this damage here, the special going off, how much damage is reduced, like the rest that we can kind of do all those comparisons. I've already done it, I'm not going to go over it, but this is where the context of the stats coming up comes from. I might be off by a bit for, you know, tomorrow, but it's okay. Everything here will still stand regardless of that, even if I'm off a few points here and there. So with that being said, let's jump into what I think is what we're going to be looking at tomorrow, which is the skills under us. We know those already, but these are the stats that I feel meet pretty much what we saw in that screenshot just now. So very high attack and speed, 41 base speed essentially, defense and res. And if you haven't like calculated this already, it's basically 181 stats, 181 base stat total. That's really high, really crazy, but not a surprise considering the Dragonflower updates did say that going forward after the CYL units, you could only Dragonflower 5 times. This implies that most units or all units after should be getting a stat increase, and that lines up really well with previous Corrin renditions having like the trainee boost, like extra stats. So this should line up to be maybe 181 or 182 and bring her up to 185 boost, which would put her in score line for Edelgard, Chrom, and Seliph respectively, because they could all reach really high scores, so I expect that to be the case also with Corrin. IS definitely knows what it's doing here. So yeah, let's talk about the skills a little bit. Actually, like a solid base kit, like really like a full complete kit out of this character. Really completed. I mean, there's not really much to like change on it. You'll see as I go through the builds, there's really not much to change. Her weapon is a slaying breath. That's good considering her special is 3. Her special is not an offensive special. Don't get confused because it says like extra damage on it. It's actually a defensive special. Works more like Pavis or Aegis. It will reduce the damage of an intake hit by both ranged and close range hits. That's cool. And then it will just boost her attack flat out by 30%. This special is really, really good. Okay, imagine like dragons using Repel, Spurn, or Close Call. Yeah, they can't, but now she can, so that makes her actually really good and makes her one of the best units to take on dragon effectiveness due to just straight out damage reduction. This unit, due to colorless and that special, will actually be able to withstand a lot of dragon effectiveness from some of the biggest dragon effectiveness nukes. I'm talking like some El Julias, she will be able to survive because of that special. She'll be able to survive stuff like Brave Alm because of the special. The ones that she has trouble with, obviously, will be literally original Alm for the Brave Falchion effect he has, and any other unit that has like a Brave weapon will still be able to chunk through it. So maybe not Dragon Effectiveness, but imagine Naga buffing Dragon Effectiveness. So she is really resilient, has really good like stats overall to kind of pump this. The one thing that's actually lacking to maybe what would be my surprise is HP, because the higher your HP, the more of a hit you can take. But most of this stuff that's like really not that important in the grand scheme of things. She has a bunch of stats given through her weapon, plus $5 stats, no surprise there. And the condition is fairly easy, like just enemy phase your enemy or attack into a unit who's pretty much full health. Really easy conditions to meet, has that adaptive damage that all breaths have. So realistically, yeah, she's solid. She's actually solid, very solid. I'm kind of like the thing is, she's solid as a unit because of stats and synergizes with her special, which other dragons cannot do. Like that's what makes her good. But realistically, she's a pretty boring unit, okay? I'm gonna say this out flat. I'm gonna probably have this unit and use it, and I'm gonna feel like I'm playing with Fjorm in 2020. I have Fjorm, I've had Fjorm for 2 years now, 2.5 years now, and that's like basically what it is, right? I'm playing with modern Fjorm in 2020. It's really boring, end turn and collect your wins, and just meet stat checks. This means that this unit will likely not age that well in 1 or 2 years. I could totally see that. While players who've committed to stuff with unique mechanics like Legendary Lucina are probably pretty happy right now and still able to use stuff like Legendary Lucina pretty well. Rest in peace Ryoma and Lin fans though. Oh man, that's just thing. But yeah, this is basically like modern Fjorm at this point. That's really what the kit is, and just a bunch of stats, but being a good color and damage reduction to overcome her biggest problems that other dragons cannot do. Pretty huge. You don't even want to change the special in most cases. But we will go through it, and what I think is definitely worth talking about. Alright, so like the first build we're going to cover here is, I'd say, pretty... like nothing really much to change with it. You're realistically just giving her a Rally Plus or Harsh Command Plus for score increase. You merge her as high as possible to put into an Arena Core user during win season, and give her the one thing which she's lacking, which is Sustain. So give her Renewal Seal. Literally, that's a good idea. You can't get Sustain, you can't get Ether, you can't really use Noontime. You can use them technically, but you either take a score hit or they're just not an optimal special. Like Ether is too inconsistent to activate often enough. So Renewal actually gets that job done. Unless you have some weird healers on your team like Sacrifice Micaiah, you're gonna probably want this Renewal Seal. You might want a Summoner supporter, Ally supporter, and use Drives and Spurs and have her carry your team. Because like at the end of the day, like what I said, with stat increases, like her stat checks, she's just gonna win most of her matchups against pretty much common enemies. I mean, she will do well against other legendary heroes pretty well, minus Edelgard, who unfortunately has that dragon versus dragon eye auto follow-up kind of effect, like just smashing dragons. Legendary Julia will give her trouble, and Legendary Marth, of course. But that's pretty much the end of that list. Like, she will do pretty well against Chrom, Leaf, She may be able to bait out Azura during water season. So like overall, she has good matchups against most of the legendary heroes, minus some rarities like Legendary Marth, who you don't see as often nowadays. And a lot of the other Dragon Slayers have kind of been phased out mostly. Like I don't see as many Dragon Slayers as I used to. You may more often see Armor Slayers than Dragon Slayers nowadays. But even if you see them, that special basically lets you tank them. And with something like Renewal, she'll be healthy enough to take on more matchups throughout the same fight. Moving on though, if you do want to actually cover the most bases possible, but have to support her in a different way, you can actually run a null follow-up build, which now makes her beat Edelgard because of the whole follow-up check stuff, and other impact users who may deny her from getting kills. Although I kind of doubt that with a 30% increase on attack. Like it seems like it's pretty unlikely that she'll miss kills. But then again, you know, so what you want to do here is now the special won't be charged, so you either have to player phase to charge it, which I don't really recommend, or ideally have like infantry pulse on your team or some sort of unit who accelerates specials, like Raphael or Valoria are all kind of like prime candidates for this. But honestly, the base kit should get the job done in most situations, and this may not be needed. I do want to mention that she does have a weakness, which is for special acceleration, which is running into special fighters or like guard or special denial, kind of like Ruse, special fighter and such. And her one-shotting those units actually results in her special not being ready. And that is a problem, mind you, because she really does depend on the special to work. I cannot see her winning most matchups. She becomes a pretty standard dragon when she doesn't have the special. So I'm really hammering down the idea that you really need this special to make this dragon work, unlike every other dragon. Moving on though, and I'm sure you'll probably think of this as a good idea, and I totally agree, which is using her in AR. Now this is like Fallen Corrin, but you can actually have units behind her, which is good because, you know, support by your other teammates is good when you have 4 other units. Not to mention she has some natural synergy with Legendary Elwood. Dragons on your team, give them bonus doubler, you know, that kind of thing. But regardless of that, you now have a Slaying Breath, which reduces her... Like, you may consider using her preference special in AR, and it could work, but I feel like actually using Noontime for sustain is totally viable in AR, so that you can pick up like Speed Res Solo and Null Follow-Up and become just like a pretty standard melee tank. This is actually a triple mythic Corrin here, guys. Triple mythic Corrin using Air, Peony, and Mila, which eventually you may have to use, so it's very stat inflated, but it hits some pretty nice sweet spots. Easily over 60 some speed, and easily over 70 attack with buffs, easily in the 50s in defense and rest. So really good tank that you can use during win season if you don't really have anything else invested, you just want to give this a spin. Some natural synergy, because I'm going to show you guys with some allies. So Flame Emperor is for Arena, but since we're currently covering AR, I want to actually take a look at what I'm talking about with Mila. Now Mila actually can just soak even at low merges, like take off the defensive Dark Shrines, and you probably can orient someone like Air to take off Bright Shrine, although it'll be difficult, but it's probably possible. Life and Death 4, possibly Fury 4. What I like about Mila though is she can run that new Hone Dragon Seal combined with her natural support like Nurturing Breath, Defense, Res Link, so she can take the Dark Shrines, and you have your super omnipotent tank. Really good unit here in this case. Like, that synergy is so nice. I wish a Home Flyer Seal existed so that my other tanks could use this so well, but this is a nice combination. The unfortunate setback is an AR that you can only use her when wind overlaps, and in Astro Season I don't see her being as good because of Thrasir's existence, and that becomes a much more difficult scenario where you may actually want your preference special to survive being blasted by dragon effectiveness, and someone who actually competes with her speed, among the fact that an Astra team will usually have like 5 melee units or 4 and make pots and other things a headache to deal with. So realistically, Light Season will be her place. I don't see her being used too well in Astra though, unfortunately. Despite all these stats and such, you don't want to get blasted by dragon effectiveness, and Thrasir being a good unit that has to be respected. Now, as I mentioned, I want to take a look at kind of like the arena synergy here, which was between Flame Emperor and Corrin. As I mentioned before, Edelgard and Julia are probably 2 big arena units that you'll see quite a bit that'll give her problems, and actually Flame Emperor does it pretty well, but most green you know, you could use like green infantries like a Shidna or Ross could also do this, even Mufasa and such. So the idea here is you basically use like some speed, slaying hammer, QR, and whatever like that, and you can, or player phasing through Gale Force could also work, and you just kill those units by by armor effectiveness in the case of hammer against Edelgard if Corrin can't defend herself through no follow-up, or you just kill Julia with just straight up high attack, or killing her with like no follow-up because she usually has mirror impact. But usually a green distant counter will kill Julia on the retaliation so that Corrin doesn't have to eat that huge damage. So that pretty much covers everything I can kind of talk about Corrin. She is respectable and pretty much being carried by this special and her stats in 2020. That's literally what it comes down to. Any other dragon I'd easily dismiss and having too many problems, but this is a good unit with modern stats, and unfortunately it's pretty boring to play with. I mean, you honestly want like Change Fate, you want Raging Storm, you want these reverse desperation mechanics so you can have some kind of uniqueness, you know, in like a year or two when you're using these legendary heroes, instead of just like, I am big stats. Because realistically, in 2 years, these stats won't be as good, and that special might be countered by new toys which may just go through damage reduction specials. So I fear for the longevity of Corrin, but for now, she's solid, and I'll give her the respect that she deserves. Alright then. So, what I want to talk about now is obviously where I rank the legendary heroes of Wind, and believe it or not, there's 6 of them, and that's pretty much the order that I give them, which is Corrin now being the best one, but pretty close to Elwood. Elwood, I would feel, is still very good because at least he has support. He has that bonus doubler effect, and honestly, in time, Elwood may age better than Corrin because of that effect. That's really important. Right now, Corrin just scores really well. Without a doubt, carries matches because of the colorless and her special, but in time, Elwood most likely could become better. Now, Lucina is up there of the original ones. She unfortunately doesn't score as much, but is still up there because of Future Vision just being an amazing assist in Allegiance battles and Arena. If you've been using Legendary Lucina at +10, you are probably having a fun time. Now, to probably no one's surprise, Lyn, Gunthra, and Hrid are pretty much like dead weights, and I would interchange them where they stand, but I kind of gave Lyn a little bit more extra because at least she can use G-Dual Infantry, so at least she can score pretty well. And green is a decent like color when it comes to tanking, like, so she could find some AR usage. Gunthra has a place on cav lines on defense, you can definitely use her there. And Hrid is like worse Elwood at this point, like he's red melee cav. He's more offensive for sure, but like he has no real support capabilities besides Freezing Seal, and there's not much more to talk about. He doesn't score as much, Gunthra doesn't score much, so Corrin right now I feel stands in number 1, but Elwood is a close second and may likely age over Corrin. In fact, Lucina may surpass Corrin in time if she can't hold her weight with those stats and special holding time. So, guys, please let me know what you think of Corrin. Is this a pleasant surprise? Do you not like this? Were you expecting Claude? Like, let me know what you think in the comments below of Corrin. Have you been waiting for years to see this? Honestly, I've been expecting Xander for quite a while, but hey, I guess Corrin and Xander now can hang out because I have both of them I'm gonna have both of them used probably in my core. So, yeah. Comments, like the video, subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you guys hopefully on my birthday. If you forgot, go check out my stream on the birthday and we will probably commit to this. Much love, guys. See you in the next one. Peace.